Have you ever thought about what it would be like if Mega Man Zero was better? Haven't we all? Have you ever thought about how cool it would be if Sega gave up on Sonic, went back to their old IPs, and made another game like Shinobi 3? What if I were to tell you both of these things are real and are one and the same? Ladies and gentle ladies, I give you Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. So over my month-long break from YouTube, I played through a number of games in my backlog, this being one of them. I originally had no intention of reviewing this, but after a 100% playthrough, I knew I couldn't just let it fall to the wayside. So what I said a minute ago is true. This game is like if the best parts of Shinobi 3 and Mega Man Zero were mashed together, and it works stupendously well. It's got the straightforward levels and air kick of Shinobi, and the sub-weapons, stage select, secret upgrades, and sword attacks of Mega Man Zero. It is, for the most part, more comparable to Shinobi 3, but all the other shit only adds to the gameplay and makes it more enjoyable. The basic level structure goes like this. Pick one of the 6 robot masters, guardians, from the level select menu. Each level will have 2 halves, making it more like 2 smaller levels in one. Go through the whole level, defeat the guardian at the end, and receive your ranking. This ranking is entirely based on clear time and if you died, so you're more than likely going to get really shitty rankings on your first run through the level. Give it a few tries to memorize the layout of the level and the patterns of the boss, and you'll quickly see an improvement. There are also several implant chips to collect. Almost every level has 2 of them hidden in some place, though hidden is a bit generous. These can go from extending the reach of your sword to making you heal from kills to making you die in one hit, of course, for the extra challenge. But we're getting a little ahead. Let's explain. What the hell is a Moonrider? So our story begins in the far-off, not-now time of the future, where the bad government people have a totalitarian rule over everyone ever and forcibly quell any insurrection. They started a program to create super soldiers to act as their enforcers, and you are the most recent. But something went wrong and you reject your coding and rebel against your creators. You are Moonrider, a cyborg ninja super soldier who now wants revenge for the government doing the big bad. Drop title screen. So from the main menu, you get a few options. The one we want first is the tutorial. If you are even somewhat good at video games, you can skip this, but those less adept at time wasting will find this a welcome addition. It teaches you the basics: walking, jumping, running, attacking, wall jumping, and killing bosses. And this is all neatly shown as a virtual training exercise, so it fits in the lore. After you complete the tutorial in like 5 minutes, it's time for the actual game. Upon pressing the start game button and choosing a save slot, you get taken to the level select screen, which has one of the grooviest tracks in the whole game. Enough gawking. Something is wrong. So the first level starts with Moonrider breaking out of his tube and killing the 2 guards in the room. Right in this moment, this short cutscene shows you just about everything you can do. You can hit enemies with a jump kick, eerily similar to the one in Shinobi 3. You can attack while crouching. You can deflect bullets by hitting them with your sword, and you can do a dash attack. Go kill people! The game wastes no time in getting right down to the action, and after this cutscene immediately gives you control for the remainder of the level. Before we go into the rest of it though, I wanted to point out this idle animation that Moonrider will do if you stand still for a second. I just think it's neat. Anyway, you're gonna start fighting enemies pretty much right away, starting with this turret face thing that is a very common hazard, as well as the common rifle-wielding grunt. Next there's this red thing that runs very quickly, but can be insta-killed with a dash attack. A little further ahead, you'll also see these item capsules. These drop health, MP, and extra lives, and are placed here and there for your convenience. Then we get the first mini-boss of the game, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you the mini-bosses are like a 50-50 if they're going to be annoying or not. Luckily, this is one of the better ones. The scientist locks this giant door and lowers a turret, which has 2 ways of being defeated. You can either jump in front of the door right when it's about to shoot, making it hit the door but not you, or you can hit the turret to force it to shoot at the door. Either way, it goes down, concluding the first half of the level. Coming into the second half, we do a little jump in and get a variant of the rifle grunt, the shield grunt. You may be confused when you can't hurt them immediately, but you simply wait and then hit them. Easy peasy. We also get shown that some levels have alternate paths, this level having a clearly defined upper and lower path. No matter the path, there is another new enemy, this shitty little drone. It only needs to be hit twice to die, but if you're slow, it's gonna shoot a fuck ton of bullets, so do not waste your time with these. Finally, the level ends with the first boss of the game, this giant thing. I think it's called a Geno Queen? I can't quite remember, but anyway, this boss is pretty easy. It's a typical head and hands boss, but you can only attack its weak spots when it's doing an attack. The hands will blow up after a good amount of hits, and after you whack its weird mouth cannon a bunch, it goes down without much of a fight, despite its size. You're then treated to a short cutscene, a short blip of a memory that Moonrider had. A commercial of some sort detailing the Guardian program to fight against the Dubang rebels. He questions what it is, and then map screen. So overall, this is a stellar first level. It sets the tone for the whole game going forward and introduces the player to every mechanic they need to succeed. It shows you that enemies are usually pretty easy to kill, only taking 1 or 2 hits to kill, but they can be extremely punishing if you're not diligent in removing them. The level also shows that the game is designed with skillful play in mind, with each level being designed to be beaten usually within 5 to 7 minutes if you're playing optimally, which, being the self-diagnosed gamer that you are, should be of the utmost priority. Enough jibber jabber. The next level you'll want to play through is Iwandalo City, because in it there's a chip that shows you the location of secrets, and you'll want that if you want an easier time getting 100%. Alright, so we pick Iwandalo City from the map, and what the fuck? This is pretty different. It's a bike segment very reminiscent of F-Zero. The first chunk of the level is spent riding down this hallway shooting grunts on bikes, robots, you know, the usual shit. But this only lasts for a few minutes, and doesn't really get built on since there's literally only one other bike segment, and it doesn't happen until the very end of the game. I would have liked to see more, maybe add some more mechanics to make it a little more engaging, but such is the life of the video game reviewer. So after riding down the street, you jump on top of a nearby car, and here the level properly starts. The majority of this level is hopping from car to car, until eventually you reach whatever long-ass vehicle this is, and fight a mini-boss, a stupid fucking annoying piece of shit robot. He's got a couple very annoying attacks, and then starts hopping around once you hit him enough. Then it's back to car hopping until, holy shit, a sniper, and holy shit, a wall. Oh, a new enemy. It's dead. Fuck! Here's that chip we came here to get, the detective chip. Like I said, it shows the location of other hidden chips when you bring it into a level. Right down the hall here, we get the first of the 6 Guardians, Photon Drifter. He babbles on about the glorious revolution, you know, killing people, and then, just like the bosses in the Mega Man Zero games, says something in Japanese, probably very eloquent, I don't know. Then, Photon Drifter ain't that bad of a boss. His lasers are a little annoying, but compared to the other Guardians, he's pretty easy. Oh shit, I forgot about the Moon Spear. Alright, real quick, you do start with your own sub-weapon, the Moon Spear. It's pretty shit and should only really be used for this and the next boss. Anyway. And there's a little cutscene of the bad government people shitting themselves. Not very important. The next level we're going to go to is the desalination facility, for similar reasons to the first level. There's a chip here we want that is going to make the game a lot easier, and no, it's not because I suck, I beat the whole game without getting this chip, it's for you. It's all for you. Anyway, we got a fucking water level, gotta love it. Actually, it's surprisingly not shit. Good on you, Moonrider, for having a not shit water level. Good job. Enemies here include robo-crabs that like walking a lot, robo-fish that flop around like a fucking dope when out of water, the face turret things from the bioweapons lab, water physics, and this noodle-armed bastard. And here we have what is easily the worst mini-boss in the whole game, Wall Brain. The main thing that makes it bad is that you can only hit it a few times before the silly little platform you're standing on goes the opposite direction of the boss, and you're not allowed to have fun for about 9 seconds. The main projectile it shits out are these onion rings, which you can swipe away. It also shoots this blue laser that sweeps across the arena, forcing you to wait for longer just because. Don't worry though, this is the worst it gets, and after you finally kill the damn thing, that ends the first half of the level. The second half of Desalination Facility is much more interesting than the first. The main gimmick is raising and lowering the water levels, so you can stand on these buoyant platforms to go further into the level. This is also the half where you get what is easily the best chip in the whole game, the longsword chip. This doubles your sword range, making sword attacks a lot less risky since you have more room to get out of the way of an enemy's attack. It doesn't trivialize the game, but it does make it a lot easier. Right after getting the chip, you'll flip some more levers and end up in Hydromancer's arena. He spouts pretty much the same shit as Photon Drifter, and we know how that ended up for him. Hydromancer is without a doubt the easiest Guardian to kill, especially now that you have the longsword chip. Most of the battle, he literally just floats in place and lets you hit him. It's quite comedic, actually. From him, you get the Hydro Shuriken. It is garbage, and you should never use it. Our next stop on the field trip is Ashura's fleet. This entire first half of the level is literally just a cluster of ships that you jump between. Make sure to grab the reborn ship here, and oh boy, a new enemy! This robot stays in his squatted position and blocks any attack. Like the shield grunts, you must learn inner peace, and wait. When he throws his silly little blade, that is when you strike. Marvelous. There's also a new turret, not a very big deal, and a really cool segment where you run away from an impending blast until you meet another new enemy, this ninja that swings at you. You can easily be killed when they spawn because they just stand there. Some more running, a mini boss, and then you fight
that fucking bird that I hate.
This mini boss is one of the better ones. It's got some annoying attacks, but you know, it's nothing like the wall brain from the last level. Here's a very familiar sight. I think the inspiration was very deliberate. After the fun little elevator ride, you get to fight this fat fuck, definitely one of the best mini-bosses. He's just a joy to fight. And then you really get to the second half of the level, and it's mostly auto-scrollers. Doesn't matter what game it is, I ain't never played a fun auto-scroller. Let's just skip past this part. Oh boy, a ladybot! Why is your shoulder like that? Stormdiver is pretty fun. Her attacks are well telegraphed, and surprisingly, she doesn't die. She just floats away, implying she's a more important character. Interesting. When you beat her, you get the Storm Shot, which is the first actually usable sub-weapon. It's still really only good for bosses, since it hits multiple times, but every enemy can just be killed with sword swings and kicks, so... Anyway, we get a cutscene of Moonrider contemplating. He decides that even though he was made for evil, he will do good instead. How eloquent. Our next target is Dark Chaser, who has holed herself up in the Lost Ruins, which, according to the mission briefing, holds a dark secret. The first half has the gimmick of falling rock platforms. Notable enemy inclusions are transformed grunts with sentient tumors growing on their heads, skull moths, moving platforms, and water physics again. What the hell? Oh, mini-boss time. This one is a submarine thing. Whack its 3 weak spots, wait for it to transform, hit its brain, done. Second half of the level, honestly even more than the first. It has some nice backgrounds, very much inspired by H.R. Geiger, but the gimmick is kind of boring, just flip some levers to open doors. And Dark Chaser, another ladybot! She calls Moonrider a freak. Not very nice. Her fight is piss easy, just whack her shield until it's gone, then boom, boom, dead. Now you have access to the best sub-weapon in the game, the Dark Portal. This is pretty much just a better version of the Storm Shot. It hits multiple times and does good damage for each hit. Fallen City is really fucking cool. Most of it isn't even really a city, it's more of a forest of sorts. This is easily the fastest paced level, with the majority of it being spent running away from this giant robot that will try to shoot you with rockets. Along the way are snipers, killable walls, and falling platforms. I know the explanation is a little brief, but it really is that simple. Final part of the first half is a fight against the robot in the background. All he does is shoot rockets, swing his little arms, and jumps in your general direction. Hit him in the head a shit ton, and the victory is yours. So the second half of this level is sort of 2 more level halves in one. You spend most of it running away from the dangerous robot arm, destroying blocks in your path, and attempting to avoid damage. This continues until a second encounter with the giant evil robot, where it has a new set of moves. It'll shoot waves of fire at you in a set pattern, then it will jump, shoot small bombs, and then repeat this cycle until it is dead. It explodes, setting everything on fire. The third section of this level is spent running away from the encroaching flames, only dying 1 or 2 times in the process. This leads to Flamestalker's Arena, who has easily the coolest dialogue so far. Notice how I said so far. He calls you a dipshit that can't do what he's told, and basically just calls you a bitch. Moonrider has no response to this. From him you get the Flame Ring. It is okay, but not better than Dark Portal. And now the final of the 6 Guardians, Geocrusher, must be killed, but not before running over 2 helpless grunts in the road. This level features a lot of boxes and a new enemy. Jesus fucking Christ, I didn't even get to talk about him. Here's the Glass Cannon chip. I mentioned this in the beginning. This chip will make you die in 1 hit. I guess you could use this if you want the game to be harder, but the choice is up to you. After you grab the chip, there's a fight with a sentient car robot, though it is very easily dispatched. We'll do a little more hopping and, oh look, another one. Then in like the next room over, there's this old guy who doesn't like the tyranny of the current government, but has accepted that it was worse beforehand. Well, he disagrees with me, so I need to beat the shit out of him regardless. This is a fun little fight. He dashes around and slashes at you, and throws these little projectiles at you. Good stuff. Now we're inside the base and fucking shit up like we usually do, but we run into a new level hazard, the annoying red laser. These are peppered through the level and are simply a nuisance to deal with, literally just a time waster, and this chunk of the level ends with a giant one, which is even more annoying than the normal ones, since it lasts for like double the time. Oh, and before that is a Gina Queen. She's just kind of here, it's whatever. After dealing with a giant laser, you reach the final Guardian, the chadliest Chad of them all, Geo Crusher. He tries to reason with Moonrider and calls him an ungrateful little shit when he doesn't comply. This starts the fight, and Jesus Christ, Geo Crusher easily has the best theme in the whole game. Unfortunately, he must be killed, and his corpse rewards us with the Geo Crash, one of the more decent sub-weapons. So now we're on the final stretch, and here's that other bike segment. It's basically just more of the same, not a whole lot to talk about with it. But now we get another elevator segment, probably because the level is literally named Duos Space Elevator. You'll spend the whole elevator ride going up and fighting basic goons you've seen throughout the whole game. It's pretty great. Then it ends with the most mid-boss fight of these 4 heads that each do a different attack, but it's like really easy since you can just stand in place and spam the attack button and just win. Anyway. The final level of the game, Pen Release Space Station. The whole first half is mostly platforming challenges with some enemies mixed in. Very annoyingly, a lot of the platforming challenges use the lasers from Geo Crusher's level, but they're faster here, just a major pain in the ass. And then it's, you guessed it, more hopping, killing, etc. But then you have the second encounter with the old dude, and it's even better than the first time. He's got more attacks and is overall more aggressive, but once you beat him, you don't kill him. Instead, he actually agrees to help you save the world from the tyrannical government, and then jumps away to presumably go do that. The last part of this level is thankfully short. It's just the fight against Moonrider's counterpart, Sunseeker. This boss fight is great, if a little silly. The best thing to do for the first phase is just to use the air kick, as it's more reliable than the sword for this fight, and always puts you way up in the air, out of harm's way. Once you get through his health bar, Sunseeker pulls the most bullshit move and completely refills it and transforms to some degree. Now he's got wings, and he certainly uses them. What kind of sucks though is this phase is honestly easier than the first. His attacks are easy to read and dodge, and like Hydromancer, has a lot of downtime where he just floats and lets you hit him. After his health is drained, you two have one final clash. The government is overthrown, and holy shit, it's Storm Chaser! I knew she'd be important! Before I let you go, I wanted to give a spotlight for some of the music in this game, because as a whole, it's great, but there's some real standout tracks here. Take a listen. So that is Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. It's got some iffy parts, but the core gameplay is a damn near perfect mashup of Shinobi and Mega Man Zero. Honestly, the worst part about this game is just how short it is. My first playthrough took me only 3 hours, and that was even after I went back and collected all the chips and got S ranks on each level. Hell, the playthrough I recorded for this video was only an hour and a half long. This is definitely one of those games that like you come back to once every few months, maybe every few years, to give it another playthrough, just to have a few hours of high intensity fun. If you have any interest in action platformers, then I would highly recommend you pick this one up. It's pretty cheap on Steam, and usually is discounted to some degree during the big Steam sales. Subscribe if you liked this review. I need to grow my slop army. More content is on the way, and only most of it is more Barony videos.